What's up, y'all? It's your boy DJ Busby.
And it's your boy JKD.
And from the time you hear the voices, you know it's only up from here.
Facts.
It's the Up From Here podcast. And we got a very, very, very special guest in the building today.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Soca Boss.
Before we even get there, how many people out there hate your boss? Go in the comments right now, put the middle finger emoji and your boss's initials.
Hold on. Do you hate your boss?
No, I actually like my boss.
Me too.
But I used to hate my boss, so I know those feelings. If you hate your boss, middle finger and their initials in the comments below. But we have a boss here that you guys are going to love today. Okay? We have none other than the Soca Boss, DJ JEL.
What an intro.
How you doing, bro?
Everything cool, you know?
Good.
I'm a little white token my system, so I feel nice.
So let's get the show started. DJ JEL, the Soca Boss. Let's explain where you got the name DJ JEL and where you got Soca Boss, and I guess the start of your journey.
Sure. So, growing up for me, my government name actually is Jelani. A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah.
But there was a friend of mine, she could never really pronounce my name. Her name was Ashley. She always would call me Gel, and a lot of people started to call me that after the fact. And it kind of just stuck. The Soca Boss, honestly, that's not a self-proclaimed title. A lot of the things that I've come up with in mixes are actually from Twitter. So big up the Twitter team that's locked in.
Yeah.
Things like, oh, well, Gel is the Soca Boss, so Gel plays the songs that the Soca Mafia doesn't want you to hear. All those voiceover ideas.
You're rushing this interview, you know, because that's a whole segment of Soca Boss.
That's a segment I want to go into.
Hear him now. Hear him. That's not right to the bacchanal.
We will get to that.
Right.
But, right, we'll get to that. But all those are things that I would have taken from Twitter, and the people kind of gave me the ideas to do so.
Okay.
The listeners.
Love it. So and a lot of what you do, from me studying what you do, a lot of what you do is taken from Twitter and commentary and reviews, right?
Yeah, I mean, the voice of the people, at least for me, is the voice of God. So you gotta give the people what they want.
Interesting perspective.
Yeah.
Now, you clearly are very soca driven, right? Where did you get that initial love for soca? From the time you came out the womb, or was there a special moment? How did that go?
For me, I would say my mom in particular, she was always one to have a lot of parties, have a lot of fests, and when I was younger, I used to go and watch her set up, right? So her and her team, they would execute events, all-inclusives, cooler fests, anything. And most times what I would do, I was go by the DJ and watch how they set up, watch how they mix. Always thinking about, okay, why did he pick this song? Why did he pick that song? And from there, I kind of just had the fascination with it. With soca in particular, something I'd always spoken to me. I don't know if it was the music or the energy or the vibe. It was always just a feeling that I had enjoyed.
Love it. And especially if you're part of the culture and it's rooted in your family. At some point, you're bound to love soca.
Right.
To me, at least, right? That's one of the most happy musics. I love that aspect of things. When it comes to DJing itself now, and I heard you mention you heard, certain things that attracted you to that art form.
Right.
When you first got into the game, how did that look? Because now you're recognized as one of the most popular, especially online, in terms of online soca mixes. Yeah. You're known as one of the most popular worldwide, right? But that starting process, how did everything start out for you?
So for me, I knew that in order to be big, I needed to do some things, right? So my first ever gig was actually a Sweet 16 event.
Okay.
And that's why I was able to go and, make my little mistakes and learn.
Yeah.
But from there, it kind of just went up. I knew that I wanted to tour and travel since when I started when I was 13 years old.
Okay.
And with that now, I knew that people needed to hear me, right? At the time, CDs were a big thing. Yeah. People always had a CD in the car or a promotional mixtape. They would hand these out at events. We could get at a bakery or roughly anywhere. Yeah. So I actually started off doing mixes, CDs, and I would sell them to my mother's friends.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Look at that. And it'd be amazing for one of them to pull those out. Especially now seeing where you are.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, there's definitely some cringe-worthy CDs that I want to listen back to.
I think we all have those. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Right. But at the same time, YouTube was popular.
Okay.
So I was like, all right, this is cool. But I also want to see the world. So I did a little test mix in 2009 and I actually put it up online. And from there I realized there's viability in doing mixes because at the same time there's there's also a popular DJ called Private Ryan who's doing the same thing.
Right.
And yeah, it just started from there. Uploading to YouTube, selling the CDs, and then playing or having the opportunity to play for my mother's friends who would have heard the CDs.
Got you.
Now, when I was growing up, though, I didn't really have the money to get equipment and things.
Right.
Understood.
So I worked with a couple of people. I had at the very least a laptop, and I had music in the laptop. So it have like the aux cord and things you could plug into the laptop and plug into like a little like a family system or boombox at the time, them kind of things. And that's how I started to play, save money to ultimately get a DJ console.
Sweet. And then it's just up from there.
Yeah.
Pun intended. Now, JKD, go ahead and ask question. But can you ask another question before the Mafia, please?
Let's
Let's not jump in. Let's just take time.
I
will.
rush the question. We
Take
have
time.
plenty to talk about.
Okay.
Let's go.
I know you said that, this genre of soca has brought you to, different places. Can you tell us some places that it has? And tell us your favorite out of all of them.
That's what.
Everyone has loved to ask this question.
So just tell us three things. Where the places that soca has brought you, your favorite place, and the furthest place soca has brought you.
JEL gone one place that I will never go. We'll talk about that. But I will never go to this one place. Go ahead. Answer the question.
Is it in Canada?
No. We'll talk about that, but go ahead and answer. I like that question.
Like you banned from a place?
No. Go ahead.
I mean, in terms of places I've been able to play, Toronto, of course, because I'm here.
Yeah.
Montreal, Edmonton, if we just count in Canada.
Yeah.
Texas, so Houston, Dallas, DC, Barbados, St. Lucia. Plenty places. My favorite place to play would actually be here. I like the energy in Toronto.
Okay.
Nice.
Although it's alleged that I've gotten feedback on Twitter that the vibes have changed. So I'm looking to see how that would have changed in 2023 and what would have happened. But I like the energy here. I just feel like there's a deeper appreciation for Caribbean culture and soca here that no other place has.
Okay.
And then the furthest I've wanted to play would be Sydney, Australia.
Yeah, that's the one. I will never. Okay, I shouldn't say never. But I
Can't say
don't.
that, bro.
Why do I want
You
to
can't
go
say
down?
that. Why
You want to go down on
he doesn't want to go down on that?
Is that the reason?
What kind of stupid is this?
That's
That is not the reason. That's stupid.
I know the reason. I really know the reason.
What's the reason?
Because this man has a fear
Yes.
of spiders.
I am not going to Australia.
What can I do to since spiders? All that have spiders everywhere. Dude.
But we're talking about like the big ones, like the
I'm
tarantulas.
not going
and
and playing up with no tarantulas in Australia. I'm DJing and spiders coming out on me. No.
I've played in 3 places and I didn't have that experience. So.
I don't know, bro.
But I have had spiders in Montreal though.
Yeah, those are some mini tarantulas for
But
sure.
you didn't run away from that.
I did. I stayed very far from them. Trust me. The moment I could get in the venue, I rushed. It was one venue I played down there, bro. I swear to you. I looked up and I must have seen 10 of the biggest spiders I've seen in this part of the world. This is terrifying right now.
But Buzz is ridiculous, right? He talking about venues. We did camp fets in the middle of the bush. Right?
Hang on. JKD, where did we go?
The hotel.
I played my set and I got back to the hotel.
No, but they had a tent all there. What kind of
What tent?
All of the study bus, it had tents.
I didn't stay in no tent. The only time I went in that tent was to change my
It was
clothes.
Willard that set up the tent. Who set
Yeah,
up
it was
the tent?
Willard. It was Willard. Yeah.
Yeah, people in his circle had a tent, and he was there, and them was grilling, and them was right there in with all the insects. So
All I did in that tent was change my clothes after I took a swim in the swimming pool. Okay, I didn't sleep in no tent. Jakey and I went straight back to the hotel
Facts.
when the mosquitoes started coming out. So I don't know. Australia is something I would really have to consider that.
yeah, you
but
can
how,
jump around with the kangaroos.
but how did that opportunity come about, like Australia? Because that's like, it's not known for soca, obviously.
True. I mean, we could get into this conversation later because I
Okay.
think we're actually ignoring a lot of markets that are interested in soca but
Right.
don't get the opportunity to experience it.
All right.
But in terms of how this came about,
Yeah.
this DJ in Australia, in Sydney to be specific, DJ Phasma,
Okay.
he's from Suriname, but they all go for Carnival in Trinidad every year.
Okay.
And he was listening to the mixes and he said, nah, I'd bring JEL for this weekend. And it was myself, DJ Daiki from Japan, and
Oh,
Silent
wicked.
Killer from Houston, who was on Uber Soca Cruise with us not too long ago.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah, so I had the opportunity to go.
Wicked.
And it was the only other outside, I think, was Cranium as well from Jamaica,
Okay.
who they brought for like one show.
Right.
But people out there, they are familiar with soca music. So large of all the people in Australia, all my team who love soca and come for Carnival. What's interesting is a few of them have not experienced Carnival, but they know the songs.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
And you just get a deeper appreciation for it once you've experienced
Yeah.
the music with the art of
Right.
Carnival, of Fets, of
Right.
Juve, etc. And I would love to for the experience of soca to be widespread and at scale,
Yeah.
where everybody could enjoy it.
Yeah.
You know, even to see like what you said with Daiki coming to Australia, in his neck of the woods in Japan, where we're going in September. That's something that I'm hearing like the art or the part of our culture is frowned upon. The winding up, the nakedness, or those,
Right.
it's frowned upon by that culture, and to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Meaning that you would need special permits for these things. You would need secluded locations.
Yeah.
If you guys want to do that, it can't be like a publicly.
Right.
So I don't know. What are your thoughts about that?
In terms of what? The rules in Japan? Or
Yeah.
Well, I mean, every country has its rules and regulations.
So not
right?
necessarily Japan. I don't mean to stick on that, but rules in general for a situation like that, like Japan has with soca and.
Well, we
Carnival.
kind of have to respect the country, right?
Yeah.
The same way if people come to Trinidad and Tobago, right? And we all know camouflage is illegal.
Yeah.
That's like the number one thing. In most Caribbean islands, it's illegal
Yes.
because of an issue that they had with the US. But I digress. You have to respect the rules and regulations of the country. I still think we could have a carnival experience that's not rooted in. I don't want to say. I don't have to be politically correct.
No,
right?
no.
Yeah. So it doesn't have to be rooted in the wine and jam or the nakedness, right?
Right. Now, something I didn't mention in the intro. This is the Soca Boss. This is DJ JEL. There are a few people in the industry who I truly like. I truly respect their mind when it comes to this art form, and the way their mind works when it comes to just creative thinking.
Yeah.
Studying
Right.
the genre, studying the art,
Right.
studying the people within the industry. And to me, the guest we have here today, DJ JEL, is probably one of the most brilliant minds I've heard do what I'm speaking of
Right.
at scale within our market.
Yep.
He really pays attention to what's going on. He really studies this. Like before this podcast, he was showing me that it's not just like he listens to the songs and studies what's good
Right.
to his own liking.
Right.
He literally will go into charts,
Right.
study which songs are dominant in which areas of the world.
Wow.
He'll go, and not just for soca. He does
Right.
this for other genres,
Genres.
just to kind of refresh himself.
Right.
But even that line of thinking in itself is just an example of the level
Right.
that he takes this to. So, JEL, I admire you for that, and I give you kudos. Talk a little bit about that.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I think in order to be at your best, you have to know what people are listening to. And I am kind of like a very data-driven and technical person. I've been told that I'm very technical in the way that in certain situations, right? And it's true. Like at first I was like, well, what kind of stupid feedback is that? But I realize it's true. So a lot of the decisions I make are based on data. And I think our industry is missing something like that, right? Like I feel like most times we will, for example, this ice cube, we'll think, oh, it's a nice ice cube. Let me pelt it so and see if it sticks to the wall. And I feel like we don't necessarily have a process or a way of thinking that makes sense.
Right.
And sometimes I want us to like really consider, if we're going to make this decision, if we're going to sing this song or put out this release, what is the reasoning behind that? And I think that we need a little bit of that. Yes, we're all creatives. We love creativity and having a creative space, but sometimes we need to really think about what it is we're doing to get from point A to point B to point C.
Absolutely.
And to have longevity.
Right.
Very interesting. And just, yeah, again, like these little tidbits that you've been sharing with me just behind the scenes that people could see it. When you post these things and show statistics,
Right.
show that you're outsourcing this content from people like you mentioned, the Soca Source.
Right. Yeah, big up them.
So this is showing me that you're actually studying this. It's not just a hobby.
Right.
This is something that you take very seriously. And I commend you on that.
Thanks. And I mean, for anyone who's watching and who wants to be an entertainer or wants to do DJing or wants to be a podcast host, you have to study what's going on in your industry. It can't just be that you want to do this one day and you don't actually do your research.
Right.
Like research is a big part of anything. Anything you want to do, you want to be the best. So
Correct.
you have to invest your time into it.
Right.
Absolutely. Now, you mentioned the Soca Source. Are there any other people that I seen you post stuff with Furthest?
Right.
Speak about companies that you've worked with, not just within where you're from, but abroad, internationally. Any companies that you've worked with aligned your brand with?
Definitely the Soca Source in terms of stats and statistics. Furthest, you mentioned. Furthest is actually a platform that wants to be the ultimate, I guess, platform for if you're in any part of the world and you want to go to a soca event or a soca fed or Caribbean party, you go to that site.
Okay.
And I think that's smart, right?
Yeah.
I think sometimes we don't necessarily know what's going on in our own tongues.
Right.
Yeah.
So having a place like that, I think is really helpful.
Very.
In terms of other
I think,
brands.
well, we're both wearing that brand from London.
Yeah, going there.
Okay.
There's Live Love Soca as well.
Yeah.
They have this mission to just spread soca worldwide and to have this lifestyle by soca.
Yeah.
So I'm actually wearing the Soca Music Heel shirt off of my line from them as well.
Nice. And I'm wearing the Live Love Soca with the Trini flag built into the logo.
Yes.
I must say that, beyond JEL's mind and that being something I respect him for, one thing I could definitely say is this is one of those links within the industry. A lot of people will think, okay, if I want to make friends with that guy or I want to work with that guy because that guy has the biggest events in the world.
Yeah.
And it makes sense to work with that guy and forget everybody else.
Right.
This is a teachable lesson for networking and not, only valuing somebody because of what they have.
Right. Right.
JEL's somebody who we've built a working relationship within this industry. We've spoken many times and realized we're like-minded in many ways and could agree on a lot of things. But this is one person in the industry that it seems like a lot of the places either he goes or just ends up in these rooms, he would be quick to mention my name as somebody like, yo,
Right.
Busby is the guy that's working in Toronto, or Busby's somebody you definitely need to work with.
Right.
And that has turned into bookings with certain situations that have made a lot. Right. And not only just monetary, it's helped a lot in however many X's it does to my business.
Right.
Yeah.
Just that small little plug is important as well. It's not just making friends with somebody because they have a million events.
Right.
Because arguably, JEL's huge in what he does.
Absolutely.
But with his personal events, it's not like the festival style events. And some people, although you may frown on something like that or not really think twice about it, that's an extremely valuable connection that I think I've made.
Absolutely.
And I want to thank you for that. Like a lot of people have come to me like, yo, JEL said you're the guy to talk to.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I'm not even just talking
And you
promoter.
wait till we on camera to tell me that's me.
No. The reason I waited is because the most recent one that happened was in Uber Soca.
Right.
I'm in line to go on from the beach pool party back to the cruise. So I'm in line to go on the raft. Behind us in line, this little girl taps me, like tiny. And when I say little, this little lady are you Buzz? Are you Buzz B? I'm like, yes. She's like, oh my God, I finally get to meet you. JEL said so many nice things about you. I say, you sure this is the same Buzz B? It was Cassandra from Winnipeg.
Cass, yeah.
Cass, yeah. And she introduced us to Heather.
Right.
That turned into an amazing, we linked and we were like-minded as well. We talked.
Right.
We had a great time and we became close, like in terms of we thought we knew these people for years and we just met them.
Right.
So he's telling random people about me. It's like, that's an amazing person to be in your corner.
Right.
Yeah.
You know?
And I wish we had more of that,
Yeah.
But just to piggyback on what you said in terms of what you could get from people, I think also too, I wish we had more of the foresight to see, yes, this person might be small now or might be in a medium-sized business, but where they're going,
Yeah, absolutely.
I should work with them now before they blow up.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I wish we would support each other a lot more because in our communities and even in the Caribbean as well, we don't support each other as much.
No.
And and we could reach much further.
Yeah. And what I liked about it though, like it was just so organic. Like it wasn't forced. Like, work in that relationship. It wasn't like, yo, I need to work with you, you need to work with me. No, it's just like, let me get to know you, you know what I'm saying? And do this organically, And that's what I liked about it.
Right.
Even in line with, telling certain people about my brand, one of the people I had the pleasure of meeting and one of the people I was most happy to meet was, he doesn't like his name out there, but the representative from Live Love Soca. He knows who he is. And I respect his, his wishes. Like, he doesn't like his name. It's more about the brand.
Okay.
Yeah,
So-
and big up the Live Love Soca team because it's not just him. It's
Don't say that. Don't say that. The Live Love Soca family.
Yeah.
I said the wrong thing one time. I said team. The man said no, Buzz family.
The Live Love Soca family.
Yeah. But he was one of the people I had the pleasure of meeting, and he's been an amazing. Again, up till now, that hasn't been something that's established into a working relationship per se. But I value the conversations he and I have had a lot, and it's to the point where, like, when I'm in London, there was one party we were at.
Yeah.
Afterwards, he literally just saw us coming outside. He was
Right.
hanging outside with some people.
Right.
He saw us coming out, and he's like, "You guys going to the next party? You need a ride?"
Right.
He was cool like
Was it?
that,
Yeah.
and took us 45 minutes
just-
across town, and we were just talking.
Right.
And we've had multiple scenarios where we spoke, and that's somebody who I also value.
Yeah.
There's a few people in this brand you could tell a few people in this industry you could tell they take their brand extremely seriously,
Right.
and that's people like JEL, people like Live Love Soca.
Right.
I feel that's what I do with my brand, JKD.
Yeah, absolutely.
And those interactions are always fruitful because once you speak to like-minded people, especially from different parts of the world and people that have experienced different things than you,
Yeah.
it just brings all the information together and helps the whole package.
Yeah.
With that being said, I know you've done merchandise with Live Love Soca
Right.
as a collective. Do you plan on doing your own?
We'll see. You're only as strong as your ability to execute, right?
Yeah.
And one thing that I think you especially, Buzz, have over me and other people in the industry is a reliable team.
Yeah.
I don't have that yet. I have people that I could depend on, but in terms of being effective, right? And for anyone who's coming into entertainment, I want everyone to consider this as well. In order to be effective, sometimes you have to outsource things. You can't do everything.
Right.
You can't design a mixtape cover. You can't have a podcast by yourself because you still need someone in the background to control things.
Absolutely.
You can't, big up Skippy.
Big up Skippy. And Deli. Big up Deli. Yeah, he's the other video guy that we normally have. Well, go ahead.
Nice. And you can't do everything by yourself. So as of right now, it's still gonna be a collaboration, maybe in the near future, or even in our industry, like even down to Marshall, he still uses Hoi Pong from Miami, and that's still a collaboration where they actually manufacture his merch.
Well,
Same with a lot of the mass bands too. They use Hoi Pong, or some people might use Live Love Soca, or might use Team Soca.
Right.
So I always got to say you can't do everything alone.
Right.
And until I have the bandwidth to actually have that and set up a proper site and then do e-commerce, there's so many things that goes into it. And just how everyone has an idea of how I think, you have to think about it. What is the end goal?
right.
Understood. Now, we're speaking of working together, and that is obviously something I wish our community could do better.
Right.
But with that being said, let's use this as a segue to get into what what we really came here for. JEL, who's the Soca Mafia? Who's the Soca Mafia?
What, you have to call names?
I mean,
So,
no. We no.
Yeah, or they're
Pull
trying,
back.
Or they're trying to get me killed on the streets.
Oh god.
Or they're,
Explain the Soca Mafia, because
all right.
some people wonder, is that actually a real thing, or is JEL just saying that as a moniker or something along those lines?
Oh no, it's definitely a real thing. I think for anyone who lives in Trinidad and Tobago, they can name maybe one or two persons in the mafia. But when I first started out, and like I said, I used Twitter and the voice of the people to make those drops, so to make the voiceovers. I was doing it as a joke, not realizing, when you poke the bear,
Right.
eventually they'll come and attack. And it is a real thing. It exists in every Caribbean island or every island that has like a decent soca market. And essentially what the Soca Mafia does, they control the party play and the radio play of certain artists. So they can actually give airplay or time to artists who they want to push or don't want to push.
Crazy.
And more so, it's alleged that there's this thing called payola as well, where you could actually pay. Like I could give JKD, I could give you 2,000 and you play my song for me, right?
Wow.
Yeah, that's a real thing. It happens in the Caribbean and it's unfortunate. Mainly with radio, but we're also in 2023 now and there are other ways to be discovered. So, but the mafia is real for sure, hands down.
Oh man, it's discouraging that there's people actively out there gatekeeping, if you will.
Right.
That's scary.
But is it really gatekeeping?
Well, this goes into, I guess, another part of what we talked about last night, which I guess we could talk about. We won't say names. That's where we start to go into the water, the shark water.
Okay.
But we were also speaking last night about allegedly some artists or people could pay certain avenues to not play songs.
Correct.
Wow.
And that's what I'm saying by gatekeeping. Like, by paying, you could allow somebody through the gates.
Right.
By paying, you could also stop somebody from going through the gates.
Right.
And there's somebody always there that's going to be a barrier. Sometimes people weasel their way through, right? That part of the industry is crazy.
And you could also be blacklisted as well, right? And this may not necessarily be tied to payola or paying someone, but you could also piss off someone in our industry and they'll be like,
Right.
you feel it better than people, or you want to cuss me out in public, I will not play your music and you're banned on the station. And it happens.
Right.
Damn.
It happens a lot.
It's very discouraging.
Yeah.
Name some ways the Soca Mafia has affected your business.
It's difficult to say because I'm not directly influenced by radio rotation in the Caribbean, but I'll say this, in order for me to stand out, I've kind of had to go against the grain, right? So although they might want to push a song or a particular person or a particular artist, I always find a way around finding the talent that needs to be heard or seen.
Okay.
And most times I actually highlight them in the mixes. Sometimes they're the first song in the mix.
Right.
For example, there's this artist by the name of Mikel Taja.
Yeah.
I fought for him to have the first song on my mix because he's a very talented individual. He wrote Drink Water and Mind My Business for Patrice Roberts and Waves for Marsha Montana and worked with a whole bunch of artists, but he himself doesn't get the shine. So I kind of use the Soca Mafia as a motivation to do better and to be better for our industry because we still need to progress.
Right.
We can't regress.
Interesting. Now, want to remind everybody who's listening to make sure to follow the Up From Here podcast on the Busby Network. Make sure to hit that follow button. We're on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, and Spotify.
Yes, sir.
So just make sure to hit that follow button. Now, DJ JEL, you're mainly known for soca music. You're known as DJ JEL. One thing people may not know about you, especially seeing you, they may look at us and think this about us, but you love your belly. Is that not true?
Of course.
Yeah, okay. Let me talk about JEL and JEL Eats and you loving your belly. What's your fascination or relationship with food?
So my two loves actually is food and music, right? I could cook too. Like I actually could make like a typical Sunday lunch, a Trinidad Sunday lunch, like callaloo, macaroni pie, stew chicken. My
That's
favorite
typical, you know. That's
my
typical.
favorite food actually is more on the Indian side. Like I like dal and rice and bhaji. Like I could eat that any day and I could cook that any day and be content.
Nice.
Okay.
But why did I start JEL Eats? Well, me personally, I love our culture. I love how we are as a region in the Caribbean and especially in Trinidad and Tobago.
Yeah.
I think that we don't invest enough into tourism though. Like in my travels, I've been touring a while, right?
Right.
When I go London, I look up, I see, oh, look at ad for Barbados. That's
Right,
nice.
right.
Nice little beach.
Yeah.
Go Australia, I say, oh, they advertise in St. Lucia. I say, okay, this is cool. Flying to New York, I see on JFK Airport, oh, look at ad for the Bahamas. You know what I'm not seeing an ad for, Buzz?
Trinidad.
Trinidad and Tobago.
Why is that?
I've never, in all my years of living, my 20-something years of living, I have never seen an ad for Trinidad and Tobago.
Right.
And we have the largest carnival in the Caribbean. How is that possible? So ultimately, what I would like to do outside of DJing, and maybe sometime in the near future, is either be an ambassador to Trinidad and Tobago or do tourism marketing. I feel like there's so many opportunities, and I guess we're blessed because we have oil and gas, right? Oil and gas is, compared to tourism, is comparing like apples and oranges, right?
Right,
You make a lot more in oil and gas, but
Sure.
I think there's an opportunity. We have a very unique culture. Our food is off the chain with all the different influences from India, Africa, China, the Middle East. I just wish that that would be highlighted more. And that's why I started JEL Eats, not only to do tourism for Trinidad and Tobago, but essentially in all my touring.
Yeah. And that's one thing I admired about your Trinidad Carnival 2023 journey.
Right.
Everybody, and you know, it speaks also to developing your own lane
Yeah.
and
Exactly.
figuring out things that people have not done.
Right.
Everybody is trying to get on the exact same parties
Yep.
or getting on the same parties,
Yep.
recycling that and doing that 5 times
Once
a
a
day, 10 times a day for Trinidad Carnival.
Right.
Right? You took it upon yourself while you were in Trinidad to work with, I believe, Foodie Nation TT.
Yeah, and it's funny how that came about.
We'll definitely get into that.
Right.
But just to give a story behind that, JEL was in Trinidad. He ended up doing not 1, not 2,
Right.
but a few episodes with Foodie Nation TT,
Right.
Right.
which is a very popular YouTube channel that, you know, they will advertise certain foods in the Caribbean and Trinidad,
Right.
how to make them,
Right.
different tutorials of stuff of that nature.
And even restaurants and undersung heroes that make the best food, by the way.
Exactly. So a multitude of things.
Right.
And JEL got the opportunity to work alongside them.
Yeah.
So I thought that was brilliant.
Yeah.
You're in Trinidad. One thing that people are going to search when they're going to Trinidad is, what do I eat when I go to
Exactly.
And that alone was just like, you could have played 10 parties that time that you did those recordings.
Yeah.
But what you did there was
more-
way
way
more
more
rewarding,
Right.
Yeah.
especially long term.
And
So
valuable.
talk about how that.
And it's paying dividends now because even right before I went to Bermuda to play, I get a whole list in my email. These are all the things you have to eat in Bermuda.
Wow.
So it goes to show the magnitude of how that came to be. But
Right.
in terms of how it started, like you said, I love my belly. So there's this new place that opened up in Port of Spain, Woodbrook to be specific, called Woodbrook Yard.
Okay.
That Chinese Laundry, who owns 96.1 in Trinidad, he opened that up to facilitate some of these small businesses and the street food vendors that
Right.
make some of the best food in Trinidad
Okay.
and Tobago.
Okay.
And they have these different pop-ups where they'll have
Right.
like a new vendor come in.
Right.
Anyway, I went to go get some crispy skin pork because I love crispy skin pork.
Yeah.
Especially Chinese style food, any type of Chinese style
You
food. I
like the swine?
Yes.
You like this?
What's the term?
The,
Diggity?
the swine is fine. The swine is fine, man.
That's so crazy. You're wild.
Very wild. Yeah, so this crispy skin pork, I've been dying to try it for a while because 2 popular YouTubers tried it. I don't know if all are familiar with David Hoffman or David's been here. He went to Trinidad and tried it, and then Mark Rains, aka Migrationology.
Yes, I know him.
He
Yeah.
also tried it too. And
Okay.
I was like, okay, well, if they could try it, I need to go and try this because I've never heard of this place.
Okay.
And they just opened up a branch in the same place where Chinese Laundry had his had Woodbrook Yard, the food
Okay.
stalls.
Okay.
And I tried it, and when I was trying it, Foodie Nation just so happened to be there filming an episode with Chinese Laundry.
Oh, wow.
And the person that owns Corn Caps Pork Shed, the pork place. And the person instantly came up to me because they recognized me from YouTube, and they're like, "Oh, I listen to your mixes all the time. How long are you in the country for?" And I say, "Well, 2 months. Here for the season to do some stuff." And I say, I'm a fan of all that as well. It's like, yeah, we see the comments on YouTube.
Was that a good thing or a bad thing?
Nah,
I know Joe doesn't. Yeah, don't. You see you?
Nah, it was a good thing because ultimately, even if the comments are constructive or good, they get engagement, and engagement means views.
Right.
So in many ways, they're thankful to have me for the episodes, and I got to meet the team. And contrary to what I thought, a lot of people when they do this, they very stuck up or they're stush or they. Is it what I'm looking for? Arrogant.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like that. I actually really appreciated the Foodie Nation team, what they do for tourism, and the fact that, again, working with people, they share the same vision.
Right.
And ultimately, we did 3 episodes, and it was organic. They said I was probably one of the most organic co-hosts they've ever had with them in the years that they're doing it.
That's beautiful.
And like I said, the impact of that now, it's insane visibility.
Yeah.
Bro, and on top, to me, that puts a face to your name because you can't. I noticed that your brand doesn't really associate or at least up until a certain point, it didn't really associate your face or you as a person.
Right.
A lot of your artwork and stuff would strictly be like cartoon or like digital images based off of the idea that you're presenting. But to point somebody out and say, that's JEL the Soca Boss,
right.
I think that changed probably more after quarantine, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Like your image and stuff definitely had to do.
And I actually have to big up my good friend as well, because I started the same time with him. I have to big up Travis Will.
Nice.
Travis said this to me and a few others in the pandemic. Like, the pandemic was the time for everyone to see a personality, to actually show that there's someone behind the creative or the artist or the DJ. And I kind of took that advice to say, you know what, you're right. I like food. Let me see who will connect and empathize with me. And
almost everybody.
It's working. Well, nah, some people do. Most people eat to live. They don't live to eat like me.
Understood.
So yeah, but you're right. That's really important, and I think that's a page that everyone can take, especially in entertainment. Like, show people who you are. You could be vulnerable with people, and it will pay off.
Yeah.
I love it. Now, one thing about JKD and I have been traveling a lot when it comes to the international journey of what we do. We went to London for the first time in 2018.
Yeah.
But one of the takeaways from that trip, when we came back and we said, how was London?
Right.
I remember JKD distinctly saying that, one of the best moments on that whole trip was on the Amnesia boat ride.
Yeah.
When we were up, big up Triple M&M. When JKD said when we were upstairs and I was talking to JEL.
Yeah.
So talk about that, like.
Yeah. Just. Again, that was the first time I ever met JEL.
Same. That's the first time I met her.
Yeah.
And it just happened organically. Like, I think you were talking with, I think it was Buzz's sister first.
Yeah, Natasha.
It was Natasha first.
Natasha.
And then Natasha came and said, you guys come talk, and it just happened so organically. And I just felt like, this relationship, this friendship is going to go long. It's gonna be. I can see us in the future working together on all different type of platforms, right?
And it's funny because I've heard Buzz's name many times too.
Yeah.
Even with it was Sun Showers at the time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was like, but I couldn't get tickets to the party. What kind of? And I said, all right, this Buzz me. All right, fine.
Hey, boy.
Not knowing I would have crossed paths with him weeks later.
Wow. Why you didn't tell me this earlier? I could have set you up nice. Anyway.
I didn't know you then.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, that was the first time we met.
Yeah.
And it was, I was drunk and I had my own situation going on.
Yeah.
But the conversation,
Yeah, he was.
it was not, don't even, let's not even.
Buzz is
Buzz is good drunk.
I don't think I've seen Buzz
So
drunk.
clearly we've just met. Not these days. I'm too old for that. Nah.
You're too old.
Back in my day, that was ridiculous. With it.
There's an age to not get drunk.
Yeah, because that hangover it hits different at 30 something.
Yeah, facts.
That 19, I could wake up the next day and go to work, all kind of thing. I'm good. Pivoting a little now to what we do as DJs. There's some very important things that I've noticed you always preach that more DJs should do. You know, this is a responsibility that we have.
Tracklist and the mixes.
That's
Right.
definitely one of them, right? And I was gonna start with that, but give people that as well as some other ideas of, you know, things that are important to study and do when it comes to your craft.
How long this podcast running for? Nah, but I would say top 5 for sure. Anyone to do mixes. Let's start with the bare minimum, right? I think for anyone to hear your level of talent, and no offense, not everyone has the time to stand up and watch someone play music. I understand Twitch is a platform for that, but I think you were the one who told me Twitch audience is different from anyone else, right? And people are going there to see that. If you want someone to pay attention, most of us were busy in our lives, right? We're always on the go. So I think mixes is definitely number 1 in anything you do.
Okay.
If you're gonna do a mix now, you have to put out the track list. You have to, like, people listen to things and they're like, well, what song is this?
Yeah, right.
Then you have to go on Google the lyrics.
Right.
Half the time you ain't even know what the lyrics are.
Right. Facts.
And then then
Yeah.
you put it on Shazam.
Shazam,
You're facing it right there by the speaker, and
It's not
Shazam
working.
giving you some outer time and name.
But sometimes you can't even use Shazam because the mix is playing off your phone.
Yeah.
You can
Does
still
Shazam
use
still work even though the mix is playing?
Of course.
I didn't know that.
But
Look, you learn something new every day.
but having the track list is easier there, and it gives you that credibility too. People appreciate that. And I saw that in my success that a lot of people appreciate that because people don't do DJs in general don't do it.
Yeah.
There might be a handful of DJs that do it now, but I was one of the pioneers to start that.
You were. And for practical.
Well, for digital. For CDs, I think it had always existed.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
CD DJs like DJ Spice would put like a track list and then.
Right.
But now in the digital space, people think that it's so hard. You have
I was
to
about
type
to
it
say.
up.
No,
And
I
you
think
could actually pull it from the software that you use.
Yeah.
Serato.
I honestly think that like DJs don't do it because they want to have exclusivity to the song.
No, I think it's just laziness. That's me.
For real?
I think so.
I think
too.
some people
But-
like
but
they
this-
actually.
This was gonna
It's
get
either
into.
laziness or they don't know how to.
That was my next point.
Okay.
Yeah.
For practicality purposes, right? For being practical and telling people the way to do it and how it is easy.
Yeah.
Instead of just saying people don't realize how easy it is.
Right.
Most people think it's hard.
Right.
From a practical standpoint, how do you do it?
Well, I even have 2 TikTok videos on this and 2 Instagram reels, but it's very easy. You go into Serato DJ Pro. If you recorded it on Serato, the rules are different for Tractor and for Virtual, depending on how you record. You go in, you go through your history, and then you go to the date in which you record the mix, you highlight it, and you hit export. You have to make sure you're logged into Serato, your Serato account, right? And yeah, once you export it, the list comes up. You copy and paste it into a Word document. You clean it up because I think you gotta get rid of the timestamp, so to have what time you played the song. But other than that, yeah, that's it.
Well, so
And I have videos on it, so if you ever need the step by step, just message me and I'll send it to you.
it's extremely easy, guys. It's just a matter of doing it. The crowd will appreciate you for it. I've seen that.
Right.
JEL told me one time too. He's like, "Put your track list in.
Yeah.
Put your track list in." And I started to study it and figure out how. And when I did it, I would get messages like, "Not all heroes wear capes.
Right.
Thank you so much for the track list. I appreciate you for putting the track list." It makes a difference.
It makes a difference, yeah.
You know. Now, beyond the track list, is there anything else you would give advice on where that's concerned?
Don't give up. I think that a lot of people who come into entertainment think that success happens overnight, right?
Yeah.
And again, this sounds very cliche, and until you meet someone who's successful, you won't know. Every single person who's in entertainment is going through something.
Yep.
Absolutely.
They're always balancing 5 million different things, whether it's relationships, work, family, whatever the case may be. But if you love what you do and you want to be an entertainer, you have to put in the work and you have to be consistent and persistent.
Right.
You have to want it, and you have to want it bad. I've started with a lot of people and I've not finished with a lot of people.
Okay.
Amen.
And then the other thing, showing your personality, networking.
Right.
That's something that I wish I took advantage of a lot earlier in my journey, because I don't want to say I'd be a lot further, but I could have avoided making certain mistakes.
Okay.
So elaborate. What do you mean?
Like I said, you can't do everything alone.
Yeah.
So I think I came into the industry thinking that I could when I couldn't.
Yeah. That's an absolute. You can't.
You can't.
And it's not only that, like, you literally can't. You shouldn't.
Right.
There's certain things that, like, no, maybe you shouldn't be tackling that task.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
that should be somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? And if you outsource it, that little money you might spend on that, the rewards you get from that are way more than that amount that you
Absolutely.
spent.
Absolutely.
You know? But yeah, no, what you're saying is correct. And it's extremely important. That's one thing I've learned as well.
Right.
To delegate.
Yeah.
You must delegate in order to succeed. You get to a certain point where you just start to feel it. Like, I cannot do all of this by myself. I can't handle all of this.
Right.
And if I did, I'd go crazy. So it's a compromise too. Your well-being and your health versus things getting done.
Right.
Yep.
So you gotta let go sometimes.
Yep.
And one powerful thing I've heard, I know you most likely know him, Gary V. And many people with this same sentiment,
Yeah.
but he would say, or 75% quality of something finished is better than 100% perfection of something that never gets finished.
Correct. Because ideas are without execution.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's what Gary Vee actually says. And I don't big up Gary Vee though. He's actually one of the reasons why I'm also successful too. A lot of the advice he gave, and I had the opportunity to meet him
Wow,
in
nice.
2016. A lot of the advice he gave works.
Right.
Whether you read his books or watch his videos or watch his TikTok videos or his podcasts, it really works. So
Right.
if anyone locked in wants to be an entrepreneur, not necessarily in entertainment, that's a good person to follow.
Right.
So you have any non-mafia questions?
Me?
Yeah. That's all this man came here to find out. You
No. Well, let's I guess let's talk about like outside of Soca. Let's talk about JEL as a person in terms of like financial, like so like you're traveling the world, you know, making some money, doing your gigs and whatnot. How are you investing? Are you investing? Are you looking long term? Are you looking to buy a house? Are you looking to what are the long term goals in terms of financial wealth in the scene?
Honestly, am I investing? Yes. So I have something that's called a IRA, which is basically like a retirement account, and I contribute to that monthly or quarterly, depending on what comes in.
Okay.
Long term, it's difficult because I don't know if I want a big house, you know. I don't know what my family is going to look like. I think that we're sold, especially for those that live in the States, we're sold this version of the American dream.
Yeah.
We have this big house and a white picket fence.
Right.
But sometimes you have to consider, is all of this worth it to put yourself into debt in the long term?
Right.
What I would like to do long term, though, is rent out properties
Okay.
nice.
and generate revenue that way, because at the end of the day, we can't be entertainers forever.
Exactly.
We can try,
Right.
and I mean, there's very few that make it,
Right.
stifle others,
Weird.
to stay down. But at the end of the day, we can't be entertainers forever. So you have to look at diversifying income, and that's kind of where I am right now.
Okay.
And that's why I mentioned the tourism thing,
Right,
because I do think it is a lucrative business
Absolutely.
once you find a way to make a profit.
Absolutely.
Beautiful.
Nice.
Now, when it comes to, like, I know you were just mentioning or making mention to it, but the older generation versus the newer. Okay. There are situations where it does feel stifling. You know, I would say we're the next wave.
In the words of Maisel, the
Oh
dinosaurs.
gosh! Well, let me go there, because we just had that conversation all the time. Big up my my MC as well, Maisel, the sound master.
Yeah, we have a podcast with him as well, so make sure to check it out.
Yeah. Right. So we make reference to the dinosaurs and the fact that they don't want to pass the torch, and I'm not calling names. I think that from a colonialism perspective, right, and I'm talking like the things that our colonizers did from Great Britain and France, and who was colonized? Spain
Yeah.
and the Netherlands, and
Yeah.
anyone else? I'm missing anyone else? Through indentureship and slavery and all these gruesome things that's happened to us as a region in the Caribbean, we're taught to fight down one another.
Absolutely.
Right? We have something called this crab in a barrel mentality or crab in a bucket mentality, depending on where you're from in the Caribbean, the saying.
Yeah.
We're not really told to help one another, you know.
Yeah.
My thing is, JKD, if I know you're doing good, the instant thing is for me to fight you down, because if you doing good, I can't do good.
Right.
But it's really far from the truth, right?
Right.
If we actually continue to support one another, we can make it much further than where we are today.
Absolutely.
But not everyone sees it like that.
Right.
And in particular, I feel, in my honest opinion, again, this is how I feel. It's not really, I don't know how JKD and Buzz feels about this, but I felt very strongly about this, and I've seen it. In fashion, politics, culinary arts, any industry I've seen in the Caribbean, it just seems like there's always this older authority and power that may not be qualified, but they have this level of authority, right? And the younger generation, when they come with the ideas, the innovative ideas, is always shut down.
Right.
Always. And I feel like we need to give more opportunities to youths to lead, because at the end of the day, if we don't, we lose what we have.
Right.
And I think we're seeing that happen across the board, not just in entertainment, but in everything. And it's reflective too of society.
Right.
That's very true. And you know, when it comes to that conversation, right? You never know who you're neglecting, what ideas you're neglecting.
Right.
There's certain, it's just what you're saying. I brought certain ideas to tables with older heads, and it's like, this is how things are now.
Right.
I get how things used to be, but if you just made that small tweak to how things are now, you would clearly see the difference. But those guys, they're like completely deaf ears to it.
And we're not using landlines anymore, we're using cell phones.
Again.
So things evolve. Like when I started DJing, it was through CDs.
Right.
I don't know if anyone remembers that era because it was short-lived. But when a CD scratch up, you can't use the CD again to play. Like, I'm thankful for laptops, because most times than not, you have access to this large library, but it goes to show how much innovation we've made as human beings. And I just wish that in our communities, in the Caribbean and in the diaspora, we would give young people more opportunities to lead. And maybe I have to clarify this. Qualified young persons.
Yeah. Right. And on top of that, it's pretty easy to tell, in my opinion, who is qualified if you actually pay attention.
Yeah.
It's not difficult to determine or
Not
identify.
necessarily. People show different faces to different people.
I get it, but...
And I think that people have this opportunity to sell dreams, right? We have a lot of
Understood.
mistrust in our in our industry.
Yeah.
But from a general standpoint, I think it's not hard to determine. And why I say determine is because you've taken the time to study this person. You've taken the time to see the actions, what they're doing and what they've done. I'm not saying by first glance or by first conversation, but if you sat down and watched this individual and how they're operating, not just because they're the young boy, you don't care what they're doing.
Right.
If you sat there and looked at this person, like, that is clearly one of the next.
Right.
Something I want to share is like, it's what, 16, 17 years I've been doing this now? 9 out of every 10 people that have either burned a bridge with me or treated me poorly literally have come back full circle.
Facts.
Full circle. And it was to the point where they were blacklisted.
Right.
Because you can't access my space now the way you dealt with me.
Right.
Come back full circle because they see my success.
Right.
And to me, it's like, why do we even have to do that dance? We don't have to go through that.
Right.
You don't have to be that way.
Right.
Be a good person, deal with business accordingly, and let's move forward. But your attitude is now messing up the rapport between us.
Right.
And I'm telling you, when you put in the work and rise to a certain level, those same people that shut you down always come back. At some point or another, it will come back full circle.
Right.
I could sit here and tell y'all stories that you wouldn't believe with people that have crossed me wrong and had to come back. And JKD would know them because that's my boy.
Right.
Right? But you wouldn't believe.
This sounding like an off-camera conversation.
But I'm saying.
This sounds like an off-camera conversation.
I'm just saying, the point I'm trying to get across, is that if you keep doing what you're doing, don't be discouraged by who shuts you down.
Right.
Don't be discouraged by people's attitudes. That's their own problem.
Or don't be discouraged by the bullies either.
Exactly.
I know this conversation with sister upstairs, but another thing too that we have to be mindful of, especially the next generation and the next generation of talent, is how you treat them too.
Absolutely.
Because although people don't see it, there's a lot of bullying that happens behind the scenes too.
Yeah. But that's where the change comes from, because if we were to experience this from the older generation, we have to be the change. Like we we can't do this forever. You know what I'm saying? There's always gonna be a younger DJ that's coming up. We gotta be the ones to not be like our previous generation.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And something I heard JEL say was, I think it was either JEL or somebody else. I'm pretty sure it was JEL though. And JEL was telling me it's unfortunate for the next generation because if they're seeing what's going on now and all the fight down and bad mind,
why would they want to come? Yeah, it was me.
True.
Yeah, exactly. You see? So it's facts. Why would anybody want to come into our situation if that's the fight you're going to get?
Right.
To be at a certain stature, to be at a level.
Right.
But in this day and age, like JEL just mentioned, you have a cell phone.
Right.
That is a superpower.
Absolutely.
If you use it right, that you don't need anybody but yourself.
Absolutely.
And in general, that is what it is. You don't need anybody but yourself. Right. But the phone makes it that much easier.
Yep.
You know? So DJ JEL residing in Miami now, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir. Well, South Florida.
South Florida, sorry.
Technical.
Yeah. Well, we in Pickering right now, but we say Toronto, so we get it.
Oh, is it the Greater Toronto area?
GTA,
I don't know
yes,
that's how it works?
Yeah,
Yes.
something.
GTA.
Yes.
I don't know. Something.
You don't
I
know.
I don't really know much.
He doesn't read.
So wait, where does the GTA stop?
He's a jerk.
Is it Whitley?
I think, what is it, Brampton? To
So let's just say, like, let's coming from east. So GTA, I would say from Oshawa, and it'll go all the way to.
Oh, so Oshawa's included.
I think
in the
Oshawa wasn't. I think
That's where
Oshawa
he
was
grew
included.
up.
No, don't try that. Don't try that. Oshawa, I would say from Oshawa to Brampton. That's what I would say.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. So Hamilton not included. In
No.
No, not really. No.
So Miami, what are your thoughts about? I don't know. I don't even know if to ask this question because you're not even home most of the time.
I was not gonna say. I don't know how that's gonna work.
Yeah. When it comes to where you've been, I know JKD asked what was your favorite place. Mm-hmm. What was your favorite carnival and soca experience that you've done
Outside of Trinidad.
I like Vincy Mas.
Vincy? Okay.
I like Vincy Mas. It's unique.
Nice.
It's very unique.
So how so?
They have energy, you know.
Yeah.
I find, in my opinion, we have gotten more stush.
Okay.
We as in Trinidad.
Yeah, we as in Trinidad and Tobago, Trinbagonians. We like this pose and dress up and look nice and go these fancy all inclusives, whereas Vincentians, they still kept to their roots and their culture, right?
Okay.
So it's not really like this big fashion show
Right.
that sometimes happens in parties. Not all parties in Trinidad. Like you could curate whatever carnival experience you want, but I feel like the masses or the popular people tend to go to those events.
Right.
But Vincy, they hold on to their culture.
Okay.
And I appreciate the uniqueness that they have.
Okay.
And for me, it's kind of like a second or third home, in my opinion.
Nice. Okay.
Interesting. What was the worst? Come on. It's only up from here. It's okay.
I know. I might not get invited to come back.
Yeah. Okay, don't say where, but say why.
No, I'll say why. Probably Edmonton, you know. No, mainly because of the road. Don't get me wrong. I love Edmonton people. They just come out and support because of where they're located as well.
Right.
They don't get the taste of the culture.
Yeah.
But the main issues I have really is just the route. It's
Okay.
not long enough, and just the overall organization of the route.
Okay.
I think the little concert they do is great. I think that they have the support, but they need to improve the route, get some buy-in from the local government,
Right.
get some more corporate sponsors, and they'll have a way better product.
Nice.
Interesting. Now, we had this conversation yesterday. Who, in your opinion, is next? And reasons why, I guess.
DJ-wise, I would say Overdose from the Bahamas for sure.
Okay.
By far Mega and Junior Cruiser. Although all of them have been knocking at the door for a while, eh?
Yeah.
I think they're now just getting their shot into the door.
Okay.
And DJ Dylan and Chris Kennedy from Trinidad and Tobago.
Okay.
Nice.
We met Chris Kennedy in Trinidad that one year, 2018.
We went to play up in Slam,
Yeah.
and he was
Nice.
the announcer during the time. So, big up Chris Kennedy, and he had a good season. He
Yeah.
had a
He had
song.
a great song.
Yeah.
Transition to art from radio personality to artist.
Right.
Mm.
Right.
We're all proud of him. But I
Okay.
would say those are my picks. There's obviously a lot more. Oh, there's one I left out from Jamaica, but he has to work on his presence. Is Rico the DJ and Kavi. You know these typical stereotype that
Yeah, the
Jamaicans
Jamaicans don't
cafe
like.
soca.
Yeah.
They don't right.
Yeah.
So anytime I am play, even old soca,
Yeah.
classic retro, he has it.
Okay.
This is him, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. So I guess reasons why as well. If you want to go down that list.
Okay, well with Rico and them is the passion. Actually with all of them is the passion that they have.
Yeah.
I think Overdose is a great entertainer. He's actually a great MC. Could even be a greater host because I see he's picking up a lot of the right cues from Tony X and from Barry as well. By far Mega and Cruiser, they introduce new music in parties.
Yeah.
And I actually really respect the DJ that does that. That's not afraid to back down and say, I'm gonna play this so that all they don't know it.
Right.
I really respect that because I find the trend lately is this follow fashion of if the DJ before me plays Pop a Bottle, Cheers to Life and Circles,
Yeah.
the DJ after is usually going to do the same thing to get the same response.
Right.
So I actually appreciate DJs that take risks.
Okay.
And with Dylan and Chris, same thing, the passion. I think in order to be in our industry, you have to be passionate about the music
Right.
and about the culture.
What do you think it's gonna take to get soca where it needs to be, to that global scale, to where everybody recognizes it? What do you think it's gonna take?
A laundry list of things, babe. For starters, I think we all need experience in the business of music, right? I think that a lot of what we do is running like a parlor, right?
Right.
I feel like we don't think big when it comes to our music.
yeah.
We don't. A lot of our artists, they'll release a song, right? Half the time they just stop at releasing it on YouTube and hope that it gets big,
Right.
without having a sufficient marketing budget, right?
Right.
Putting money into getting a TikToker to create a routine or a dance,
Right.
or to upload it to these streaming platforms like Apple Music, Spotify, Pandora,
Right.
Audio Mac.
Right.
I think that we don't really necessarily have proper infrastructure in our industry, so that's the main starting point.
Right. Right.
Having that. Two, mentorship, encouraging younger artists to come into our industry, right? Remember we said there's not really much of an incentive to come into soca if they're met with all this fight down and all the politics that exists. Three then would be having our own award shows, right? We just look to every other foreign entity. We must be on the Grammys. We must be recognized by the United States and Canada. And honestly, looking at the stats and looking at the numbers, we have audiences in Japan, Austria, Dubai,
Right.
all these weird territories, but we don't go and perform there.
Yeah. Right.
So I think that we need to look at where we're loved first. And then also we need to love ourselves first and support ourselves first, right?
Agreed.
We just want to embrace every other culture but we own. Maybe not Jamaicans. Jamaicans have their culture till the very end. But we but I think every other Caribbean island looks for this recognition and from outside when it should start with us. We should have our own award shows. We should support our artists, buy the albums, stream the albums. But until we support our own, we can't reach nowhere. And adversely in Afrobeats now, we're seeing that they're supporting their own. They had their movements in the UK and wherever the case may be, and look where they reach versus where we are.
Right.
Correct.
So in order for soca to shift, we have to start with those things first from a foundational level.
And I know you mentioned the fact of, getting the music out there, having an album, the importance of those items, right? And certain intricate things that we could do. What's your goal? What do you want to do to be that asset in taking soca to the next level? Or what ideas do you have that you want to execute to help with this mission?
Honestly, it's a work in progress every day because it always changes. I know for sure I want a part in music marketing
Okay.
because I think that we don't do enough. I also want to mentor an artist. Maybe not now, but later down the line,
Interesting.
using some of the knowledge that I have to actually bring out an artist
Okay.
because there are lots of talented people out there.
Yeah.
But they need to show they need to be shown how it's done and how to get from point A to point B. And I want to show that it's possible.
Nice. Okay.
Now, when it comes to your brands, because it's DJ JEL, but you have your own brands as well. One that we've seen advertised a lot more recently was Jus'So.
Right.
So speak about that brand.
So Jus'So is kind of like a multi-genre event usually. This was the first year I had it in Trinidad for Carnival as a cooler fete, and it did pretty well.
Okay.
It was born out of the idea of just throwing a party. Whenever we say Jus'So, it's usually like it's something that's out of place. Like,
Right.
really, Jus'So?
Right.
Yeah.
Like, you doing that without any real context behind it.
Yeah.
In addition to that, I have Soca, which is a all-inclusive
Okay.
that I
Nice.
kept in Trinidad as well, and it was just highlighting soca music and the people that love soca, right? We have so many people out there that love the music that we don't cater to or don't create an authentic experience for,
Right.
and that's ultimately what I want to do with those two brands.
Okay.
Yeah. So what about something you have released publicly? You do sections with mass bands, correct?
Yes.
So speak about that and why you decided to take that route.
Honestly, this was just born out of frustration. So the reason why I wanted to do this section, my friends had a terrible time for Carnival in Miami in 2021.
Okay.
And we were all speaking and we say, well, you know what? We should do a section. Now, ultimately, they didn't have the opportunity to, but my family did. My mom in particular, she has some experience in doing mass before.
Okay.
And I say, well, I know nothing about costume designing.
Right.
But I do know how to market a section,
Right.
the things you would want, the amenities and all of that. And I
Right.
say, you could try something and see what happens. Obviously, with strategic goals of having, X amount of masqueraders registered,
Right.
what the experience would be, capturing content and all these different things. So there was an end goal.
Right.
But it was something that I tried and I realized there is potential in it and there is revenue in it as well.
Right.
And so that's partly why I started it. It was just born out of frustration of the other bands didn't take to my feedback or to the feedback of the masqueraders.
Right.
And mass has gotten to this, at least in the Miami market, this greedy perspective where everybody just wants to make money and not deliver on their promise of proper costumes or a backpack or
I think that's everywhere, but yeah.
It's a worldwide
Yeah.
issue.
I could only go based on what I know.
Yeah.
behind the
Right.
scenes.
Right.
So
You got good politically PR training.
So, you didn't ask anything like about college or university, but that's what I went to school for.
What's that?
Not necessarily, well, did take a minor in PR, but I went to school for marketing, advertising, and communications.
Oh, okay.
wow. Look at that. Look at that.
Right.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, you could tell.
Very
Let's
media
put it-
trained.
Yeah, let's put it that way.
Although I just jump out myself once in a while, but there's always a reason for any of those things.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Those are like critical, intricate things that should be a part of any business and
Right.
paid attention to.
Yeah.
Now, as we close up, amazing conversation here today, and I think a lot of people could take a lot of gems from this podcast and apply it to whatever they're doing, and that's what I love. I want to bring guests that you could hear their stories and apply it to your own. You don't have to be a DJ to understand what JEL is speaking of, and those sort of little, intricate things that he brings up. But one thing I want to touch on before we close up on this podcast is the fact that you've gone and done all of these notable things worldwide, right? And you've played in various carnivals, played in various events. But with everybody, there's always those certain moments when you're like, yeah, I did it. Or like, yeah, that was it. That was one of the biggest moments of my life. Maybe share some of those milestones from your career.
The question is if I got there yet, because I still feel like there's so much more I have to do.
Okay.
I would say for me, it was playing a Nothing Hill Carnival. Seeing 3 million people on the road I'm playing for them,
Yeah.
is an undescribable experience. Like I
Definitely.
can't put it into words.
Right.
So I think being able to entertain that much people in that space in that point in time was like, yeah, Joe.
Good.
No, you're right.
I love Notting Hill, man. I agree. I just mentioned what were your your milestones that you can remember. What's something that you pray that one day, or you hope one day, I get to that point, and you would say like, yeah, boy, that was it.
Say multiple sold out events in 1 year. That's something I've been manifesting a lot, to just have different sold out events in different parts of the world.
That's
Nice.
coming. That's just natural progression at
Yeah.
this point.
Yeah.
Because you're clearly one of the next. That's not even. You should add yourself to that list.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But remember, you don't ever want to get too far ahead of what you actually are, right? And you need to be motivated by something.
Elaborate on that. What do you mean?
So I think that you could put yourself in these categories, right? But what I find happens a lot in our industry is that people just get overconfident, and then that's where things start to lapse. Everyone feel they're bigger and better than everyone, and because you have to deal with a lot of egos in our industry, sometimes you need to realize, you know what, you gotta humble yourself, because if you don't, you could set yourself up for failure and not even realize it.
Absolutely. I agree with that.
Got you. So we're gonna get into a speed round. We'll get into that next. But before that, what is your 5 to 10 year? What are your 5 to 10 year goals? Where do you see yourself in 5 to 10 years? What do you want to aspire to do?
These are a lot of us. Because you asked about milestones and financial stuff.
Right.
5 to 10 years. Let's see. I don't know. And I don't want to say I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how much I want to share.
Okay.
Because getting into these specifics, it would give away too much.
Okay. Well, just know, ladies and gentlemen, JEL has gotten to an amazing place where he is now, and that wasn't by accident.
Right.
He put in a lot of hard work and determination. So if he has goals, he's going to put in that same work and determination and get there no matter what.
Right.
So just look out for this guy. This is, again, one of the most brilliant minds I've come across in the industry. Somebody who I respect when it comes to your line of thinking, to the dedication you put into the craft, the research. I extremely admire that.
Right.
And I commend you. I encourage you to keep it up. The sky's the limit. And whatever you're thinking, something that resonated with me and something I would project to people like you is whatever you're thinking is probably too small.
Right.
Think bigger. Especially you.
All right. Well, I have it written down here.
I don't.
so
No, you don't need to tell them.
I'll say no, but I'll say 2 of the list. I won't say all, but I know for sure at some point in time I want to have a label.
Nice.
And in terms of diversifying revenue, I definitely want to see in my lifetime about 20 million US.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Beautiful.
So those are 2 out of the 15 things I have here, and it's written on my phone.
Love it.
But I would encourage everyone to, whatever goal or dream that you have in terms of manifesting it, the easiest way for your dreams to come true quickly is having it in a place where it is visible.
Yeah.
And some of the things that I have accomplished, I wrote down.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or I've had a vision board. I've seen it.
Right.
And that honestly is one of the easiest ways to be successful.
Manif-
Obviously, there's work behind it, but
Yeah.
when you see it, you could believe it.
Yeah.
you manifest it and you've worked towards it. And one of the JKD says I don't read. I don't read. I don't. I will be the first person to tell you that.
Oh,
Okay.
so you're fitting the stereotype. of Caribbean people
No.
don't read.
I could read.
No, you
I'm
could
not-
read.
No, I completed my university degree. Thank you. I could read. I don't read. All right.
You don't read.
But one of the first books I ever read, and big up Olard, he actually bought me this.
Okay.
And when I say read, by myself,
Right.
on my own, in its totality.
Not an audiobook.
No, not an audiobook. I more recently got into audiobooks because I don't read.
Right.
I would rather absorb the content
Yeah.
by ear. And again, like you said, not everybody has the time to sit there with a book.
Yeah.
If I'm on the go or on a plane ride to whatever destination or international gig,
Yeah. You're.
I'll turn on the audiobook.
Okay.
But Willard bought me the first book. One of the first things he ever bought me, period, as a gift, as a friend.
Yeah.
He bought me The Alchemist.
Okay.
And I don't know if you guys are not familiar with it, more or less, the story was about manifesting your dreams.
Right.
And once you have a thought, that's the first step. But it's everything you do towards that thought that you're eventually going to get there because of all the work you put in.
Right.
And knowing where the finish line is, you're going to consistently try this, try that.
Right.
This might work. This might really not work.
Right.
But that not working probably put you in the better direction to go even faster than what you would have before.
Absolutely.
Right? And there was a multitude of stories and those type of things that showed that aspect of manifesting it. And that's the first step.
Right.
But one thing I learned in the Steve Harvey interview with Earn Your Leisure,
Yeah.
the idea, as you said earlier, doesn't mean caca
Right.
unless
You
you
execute
work.
it.
Right.
Right? That idea is the first step.
Right.
But nothing comes off the ground unless you think of it.
Right.
And that's exactly why I just said what I said. Whatever you're thinking about, think bigger.
Yeah.
And especially you, because you've gotten to where you are with an amazing set of skills and you know, thought processes and ways of executing what you've done, which shows me that you're capable of getting whatever you think about.
Right.
So if it's 20 million, go for 200 million. Go for 20 billion. You never know where this world could go.
Yeah.
But if your mind is there, you're eventually going to get there.
Yeah.
And with me, for instance, like what you just said, my ultimate goal with all of this, personally, would be everything that I'm doing is what you're saying is finding your passion, working hard towards it, dominating in it, and executing everything you possibly can. All your ideas and doing it from a place of love, from a place of I want to be of service to my society. I want my people to look at what I'm doing as inspiration. I want to help people who are less fortunate with what I'm doing. And I think one of the biggest things that I'm doing right now is curating the people around me, right? You've seen it with like a LeBron. LeBron took people from his hood,
Yeah.
right? And took them to God knows, like they're probably in certain situations that they never even dreamed of.
Yeah.
But because of his status, he used that and leveraged it to make his circle dominate in whatever fields they're in.
Absolutely.
And to me, that's what I think everybody should do.
Yeah.
You have something special, you have a passion, own it. But when you're owning it, think about the people around you, especially the ones that you love and the ones that have helped you. And ask them. Sometimes it just takes that conversation. Well, what are you passionate about?
Right.
Yeah.
This is what you love. This is the success I've seen with what I do. If you tweak certain things about what you do, you could be just as successful as me, if not more. And if you create everybody in your surroundings and make them to be what you want to be or more, as a collective, you guys could dominate and do things that are unimaginable.
Absolutely.
And I say all of that to say JEL is one of the people that I have in mind to take to that next level.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and I don't even, he doesn't even need it because he's on his own.
Right.
He's doing his thing.
Right.
But I respect the man.
Right.
If it's anything, it's certain people, you could say what you want about them. I don't care. I respect this guy
Right.
and how he thinks about things and his mindset behind stuff. And I want to see him at a certain level.
Absolutely.
And I really look forward to us. We'll talk about it as these cameras shut off. But that show especially is like only the starting point of certain things I'd want DJ JEL to be a part of when it comes to my media company.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I'll end it there with that thought piece is just utilize what you have, leverage it, but help the people in your community.
Right.
Help the people in your community, help the people in your immediate surroundings, the people you love, and help them to get to a better place in life.
Yeah.
And I say all that to say JEL is one of those people. So this was an important podcast for me.
Okay.
And an important working relationship that I will continue.
Absolutely.
You know, beyond that, I feel like we message each other and talk outside of work.
Yeah.
We have our conversations and I
Right.
value those.
Right.
So beyond work, this is somebody I would consider a friend.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I applaud you, JEL, for all the work
Thank
you've
you.
put into this industry. I hope and pray that a lot of people tuned into this episode, told friends about this episode. You know, all of you guys that are Soca lovers, you most likely know the
Absolutely,
Soca Boss. But what he said within these last couple hours really will show you where his mind is at.
Right.
You know, you could hear the mixes and love this guy, DJ JEL.
Right.
But when you hear the brilliance that comes out of this guy's mouth,
Right.
that changes the game.
Absolutely.
And I hope a lot of you had a lot of takeaways and took all the information, applied it to what you do. And I hope your journeys are just as fruitful as ours.
Yeah.
All right?
Hey, man. Wow.
So as a nice intro,
we
a nice
gotta-
closing. We
gotta give you your flowers, bro. We gotta give you your flowers.
red carpet treatment.
Yeah.
Any last words, JKD?
No, man, just, like, again, like, this relationship that we curated was just based off of organically, like, it was just very organic. And I know where the future is going to take us. And if we're just consistent on that same path, bro, anything is possible. You know what I'm saying? And I'm glad I met you, JEL.
Likewise.
It's just vibes from here. That's what it is.
Yeah, man.
Where can they find you on socials?
Everything: Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, SoundCloud, YouTube. At JEL, JEL, in the mix.
Right.
JELinthemix.com if you want to go and check out my website, download mixes, look at the track list for the mixes as well.
Okay.
And if you need to email me too, email my team, jelinthemix@gmail.com. So everything is at JELinthemix. If you want to cash app me as well for those interested.
We're out of the pandemic, Gel.
But everything is JELinthemix.
I say cash up, yeah. Gel, it's not pandemic anymore. We good. You going where next week? You going Bahamas next week or something? So you good? Don't worry about no cash up. We got you. I'll send you some little extra. You're good. You're good.
Yeah, but everything is at JELinthemix.
Awesome.
Consistent.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was another episode of Up From Here with DJ JEL, the Soca Boss, international soca DJ that is really doing his part in this fight for soca music. We want to thank you for your time.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
And big up to anyone who's locked in as well.
Yeah.
Yes, all of you guys. We appreciate your time.
Leave your feedback in the comments below.
Absolutely.
Or to the side, depending on where they're watching.
Absolutely.
Make sure we want to see the comments, not just
I actually read them, so yeah.
not just middle fingers with your boss's initials. We want to see all heartfelt comments and be interactive in all of these podcasts that we put out.
For sure.
This guy.
When you hear a little something,
Right.
if something triggers you or you want to add to it, whatever the case is, leave a comment.
Yeah.
Don't be harsh or whatever, you know. I'm not saying to be all flowers and roses,
Right.
but there's no need to be rude about it.
Right.
Just leave comments, you know, be interactive with the show.
Yeah.
We're doing this for you guys. And the point of Up From Here podcast is for you guys to listen to what we're talking about, these interviews that we have. And it's only rooted in places of benefiting our culture.
Right.
So once you now hear all the information, it's literally only up from here.
Yep.
And this is the Up From Here podcast. Thank you, DJ JEL.
Thank you.
We're signing out.
Peace.
Wow.